So on one day when I went home, my very first startup, and it was a bad week, and I said to my wife, I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know if this makes sense. I don't know if I should give up or I should keep at it. And my wife, who's much wiser than I am, said, if starting a tech company from scratch and making it successful was easy, everybody would do it.
Welcome to SoCal Tech Interviews, where we talk with startup entrepreneurs, investors, and others in Southern California's high-tech industry. Today, our interview is with Richard Wolpert, who has been investing in and advising startups in Southern California and elsewhere for many years as both a venture capitalist, angel investor, as well as with Amplify.LA, and he's also run a number of his own startups. I'm Ben Kuo, founder and editor of SoCalTech.com.
So my name is Richard Wolpert. I've been in tech since '85. Started at Apple on the original Mac team. Done 4 startups. One sold to Adobe, one sold to Warehouse Music, one sold to Real Networks. I was president of Disney Online for 3 years. Founder of Amplify.LA, venture partner at Excel. I'm in a sort of semi-retired mode right now with a venture partner at Excel and Amplify, and I make a lot of angel investments.
And as an investor, let's talk a little bit about startups. You've seen so many startups. What are some of the biggest issues that you see with startups and that you think they should be thinking about?
So one of the things I look for, and we look for at Amplify, is like not a single founder startup. Those are always just too hard. So we like to see a balanced team. So not just one skill set. So 2 tech guys is not nearly as good as like a tech guy and a finance MBA guy, and maybe a marketing guy, right? So that would be a great, well-rounded team. So that's one thing we look at. We look at the team's ability to scale. A lot of times they're first-time founders, so you have to just judge gut. We love second-time founders. That minimizes the risk of fatality a lot, so we love second-time founders. And then one thing I personally look for is sort of the timing window. So what I've learned in doing this for 35 years is if you're right about a trend, but you're right way too early, you're actually wrong. And I'll give an example where I was wrong. And if you're right about a trend, but you're right too late, you're wrong. So my example of being right too early was in 2003 when I was at Real Networks, I led the acquisition of Rhapsody, which was the first major label streaming music service that had music from all 5 majors. And to me in 2003, it was clear that the future of music streaming was all going to be, or the future of music was all going to be streaming services, not buying CDs. But the world wasn't ready. And the world wasn't ready until about 8 or 9 years later when Spotify came out. So I was right about the trend, but I was wrong. So what I look for is something that I think is going to happen in the next 6 to 24 months. It's going to happen in roughly that window. It's not too late because it hasn't happened yet, and it's not too early because it's not 5 years out. So that's one of the things that's really important to me.
Now, let's talk a little bit about scaling. You're really, I know you look at companies and how do they scale, and talk a little bit about that.
Scaling is hard on many levels. I mean, we have a company at Amplify right now, or was an Amplify graduate, I won't say who, but their biggest challenge, and it's a good, bad problem, but it's still a problem, is they can't even keep up with demand. So what they need to do is, build their systems faster than they've been able to build their systems and hire people that are qualified in operations faster than they're able to do. Now that's gotten a lot better in LA in the last 20, 25 years, because 20, 25 years ago, I would say the exodus of graduates in computer science and other degrees to the Bay Area was much higher, and that's gotten less. There's still people that do it, for sure, but there's a lot of opportunities in LA. So the ability to hire either people that have been at a successful startup already, or that have just graduated from UCLA, USC, Harvey Mudd, Caltech, etc., is so good that scaling is easier than it's ever been. But you got to find the right people, you got to hire them at the right pace, and you got to keep up with the innovation and the customer demand.
Let's talk about your book real quick. You issued a book a little bit, and just to explain to your folks what your book's about, and
So
put in a plug here.
I'll preface this by saying I did not write the book to make any money, and in fact I charged the least amount possible that Amazon lets you charge for a book they print on demand, which is $9.99,
Right.
and I think I make 80 cents a book. So this is not about money at all.
Right.
But I've done a lot of deals in my career, and people kept saying 10 years ago, oh, you should write a book about the such and such deal. You should write a book about your Steve Jobs interaction at Next and Apple. You should write a book about the Microsoft antitrust settlement with Real Networks. And I took an inventory and found that I felt I had about 12 really good stories, but that did not make for a full book. So I started reaching out to friends of mine in different business sectors and asked if I could interview them about deals they did. And I got almost 100% yeses. There was only one no, and I won't say who it was, but so I interviewed, J.J.Abrams, Deepak Chopra, Reid Hoffman, Peter Guber, Penn from Penn and Teller. So it wasn't just like tech people,
Right.
Entertainment people, people from politics, other areas. The book is called The Soul of a Deal. It's, like I said, it's about a dozen deals that I did, and it's about 22, I think, interviews with other people and deals that they did. And if you're in corp dev or you're a startup CEO, I just think it's a super helpful, quick read. It's it's not one of these voluminous things. It's probably a 2-day read for somebody, and it's on Amazon, and it should help you with deal making.
So, I know you have tons of advice in many areas, but is there any one piece of advice that you think every entrepreneur should take in mind that you would love people to know?
So on one day when I went home, my very first startup, and it was a bad week, and I said to my wife, I don't know if this is going to work, I don't know if this makes sense, I don't know if I should give up or I should keep at it. And my wife, who's much wiser than I am, said, if starting a tech company from scratch and making it successful was easy, everybody would do it. And there's a reason why not everybody does it. So the single piece of advice I'd give to a startup CEO is you're going to have really bad days or weeks or months, and that's just part of the roller coaster, and you can't be worn down or give up when that happens. And the most successful startup CEOs have gone through that downturn, whether it's a week or a month or a year, and then reemerged. And Slack is a great example. So Slack was a gaming company called TinySpect, and they grew to 50 people. This is the story in my book, and it just wasn't working. And Stuart, the CEO, fired 45 of the 50 people, and then realized the Slack thing was interesting, and they started selling it. And within 6 months, he had hired back about 75% of those people. And now it's Slack, which is a $15, $20 billion company. Some people, not experienced, like Stuart, who had gone through Flickr and sold that to Yahoo, might have given up when the gaming company didn't work, but he didn't, and look at what it is today. So single piece of advice I'd give is you don't give up and you keep fighting, fighting, fighting.